there was a bit. So I played Starfield like once last week, and I've been doing an asshole run of Starfield, where you
punch babies, steal candy.
You do all the evil shit, right? Yeah. And I put that in my stream description. Starfield, very hard difficulty asshole edition or run or whatever. And I just realized that when I roll our logo, it's gonna kill me.
Yeah. Well, you can just like snatch the headphones away from your ears.
I'm gonna take them off, I think, when I do it. Also, if you're joining us for the little pre-show.
First of all, why?
Yeah.
Second of all, thank you.
Well, some people have notifications turned on when we go live.
Be really impressed if they jumped in the first 5 seconds or so.
You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Welcome back to Jedi Enclave. I'm Daniel.
I'm Chris.
And we're two nerds in a basement. And we are, of course, your esteemed hosts of Jedi Enclave presents the Now This is Podcasting podcast.
Think of us as your tour guides as we explore Star Wars nerdery and other adjacent things.
Yeah, like comics and TV shows that we enjoy.
And some things that aren't Star Wars at all, like Loki and Gen V are going on right now.
Yeah, you just stole my... so on today's episode, you son of a bitch.
Sorry.
We're doing a top 10 episode/moments, because I didn't know which one I'm going to call this. Okay. Maybe I'll figure it out by the time we do it. I don't know.
I can already predict your number one, but...
Yeah. In Disney Plus Star Wars. And we are going to talk about Gen V and Loki Season 2, which it kind of occurred to me that we might want to start doing these shows on Friday again, because or some other time, because like the next episode happens tomorrow, and by the time this episode comes out, it'll be after the next one already. We'll talk about it later. I kind of ambushed you out of nowhere, but yeah, we're gonna talk about that. So if you've been keeping up with those two things, or if you're interested enough to know about it, we'll be talking about that. The time codes will be in the description of this video. That is our podcast version, which will appear in the future on YouTube. We'll have time codes that you can skip around to whatever content you want,
or just sit there and watch all of it. Yeah, it's up to you.
You're welcome.
It's
by the way,
choose your own adventure.
Thank you to our friend Connor at the Star Wars Hub, who's he's our buddy, and he runs a good thing over on Facebook, which pretty much is don't be a dick to Star Wars fans. Just don't be a dick.
Enjoy Star Wars and don't be a dick about it.
Right.
Which is harder than you might think.
It is.
Judging by the number of dicks out there.
A big bag of dicks. Well, speaking of bag of dicks, you, the viewer, should like and subscribe, share the stream, and the link to our Discord server.
That was one hell of a segue.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry I abused you verbally. Not you, the people watching, the 3 or 4 people watching. The link to our Discord is in the description of the video. You should go check that out. We talk about things over there, and when there's a show that we like, we do a little like live reactions. We should start doing that for Gen V and Loki too. That should be kind of fun.
Yeah. We'll figure something out.
That was have your people call my people. Yeah. We'll see. After this at 7, we're gonna do Star Wars Battlefront 2 with our friends from Gremlin Squad, and we'll talk more about shit that we like. And on Sunday at 7, what?
No.
Sunday at 7, Gungans and Dragons will have its 6th episode, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's our Star Wars role-playing game, tabletop RPG. I just said that, but I play a Chiss Jedi with a drug problem. And you play a sexy rogue pilot who I just realized 2 episodes ago my character gifted a bag of soggy rolls covered in Hut ab butter. And if you're wondering to yourself,
you had to be there.
What is Hut ab butter? You're going to have to go watch it. Because first of all, if I have to explain it to anyone, I might barf.
Yeah.
But also, you want to go watch it. It's kind of fun. So we got there's one Star Wars news. Hold on just a second. I want to make sure before we get into that. say this before we get started. I want to get that person's name, and it would be really rude of me because
Oh boy, live on air Googling.
Right. Yeah. So Shauna Tripkick, who is a costume designer for Disney, specifically Star Wars, like all the newest shit that we've seen, tragically died.
Oh.
And that's like some of like the making the sausage behind the scenes thing that not a lot of people are like there are so many people that work on these projects that, you know, it's, do you know the costume designer of every Disney Star Wars?
Fuck no.
Yeah, but
nobody does. Nobody knows any of the costume designers.
But they do like one of the most important jobs, kind of. I mean, they make the characters feel authentic and everything, and you know, the costumes seem really neat, and it's just really too bad, and you know.
It's part of what makes the characters feel like they are people in a place.
Yeah, and she specifically did a fantastic job. We were talking about when Ahsoka was airing from episode 1 of Ahsoka. Her costume design is just like so on point, and everyone's shit. Morgan Elsbeth, her fucking getup. Balin Skull, his fucking getup. Like everybody. Thrawn's is kind of basic, but you know what? It was her job to make his uniform kind of frayed and trashed. Did you notice that when you were watching it?
I didn't.
He had a couple of spots that were frayed and like ripped up a little bit
to fit with his stormtroopers who were like soldering together their armor and holding it together with these red rags and shit.
I'm surprised that his hair wasn't like all messed up when they found him. He's like, "Get me the fuck out of this galaxy."
First, give me some hair gel.
Yeah, we've been out of hair products. So, you know, rest in peace, Shauna. You did a great fucking job. Thanks for all the work. We certainly appreciated it. And what else do we have Star Wars news-wise?
On a slightly lighter note.
Yeah.
So Skeleton Crew. Remember the Jude Law project that was announced forever ago?
Yeah. So there for just a second, I thought you said Jude Law, and I was like, "Oh, you meant Jude Law?"
Yeah.
Because I have no idea what that means. Anyway.
So the rumor and the hope had been that it would come out at the end of 2023, but actually it's premiering January 2024.
I don't think I wasn't expecting it at the end of 2023 after the
writer's strike and the actor's strike and everything. Yeah.
Which, by the way, the actor's strike's still going on.
Yes.
And I hope they get. I'm pretty sure they have better leverage now.
You would think,
because WGA got pretty much everything they wanted.
So
right?
Lots of irons in the fire. First off, the directors already got a new contract. They're all settled, so that's no longer hanging in the background. Number 2, the writers did get like not everything they were hoping for, but everything they really wanted.
Yeah, they got a lot of shit.
Yeah. So you might argue that actually takes a little bit of pressure off the studios, because like that they have resolved one of them and now the actors are kind of on their own now. But you could also argue the other way, that the actors have precedent for saying, look, you gave the writers all this shit. You need to fucking pay us.
Yeah, like we know that you'll blink first.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of time. Just if we can wait you out, because we know that you're all money hungry assholes. Which, by the way, one of the things that came out about that WGA strike thing, which I find very, very interesting, is that studios have promised that they're going to start releasing internal viewership numbers.
Yes. In fact, the writers got numbers from Netflix, which has never happened before.
Now, these are supposed to be private.
Yes.
But you know those motherfuckers are going to leak.
At some point, some of them are going to leak. I wouldn't expect to see like all of them every quarter, but some select
I bet the
numbers
big ones. I bet all the Star Wars ones will. So like the way this works is there's always a double-edged sword with Hollywood, because they want to brag about how well a show does.
But they never want to say they made any money on it, because then they have to spread it around.
They have to start paying people, and it just, fuck if they can do that. So if those numbers start coming out, it's going to be kind of a big deal. I hope they do. Just
one other note on Skeleton Crew. The synopsis says that there are children getting lost in a, quote, strange and dangerous galaxy, unquote, which after Ahsoka, there's some speculation. I don't think this has any grounding whatsoever.
Same one? Like the same galaxy that Thrawn was in?
Yeah. The faraway galaxy that the whales go to.
So when Dave Filoni's Star Wars film was announced, he mentioned that they're going to tie up all of the remaining plot threads. And he started listing all the shit he's worked on, pretty much, like Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, and Skeleton Crew is in that list of things that is supposed to apparently feed in to his movie. So because we know that Jude Law is a Jedi that escaped Order 66, another one. Which
there are so fucking many.
There haven't really been that many if you think about it. You could probably count how many on two hands.
It just feels like so many.
Yeah. When you consider that,
because like we saw what Ayla Sakura, what's his name, the Keldor, the one who found Ahsoka, Plo Koon.
Yeah.
We see like what
Keanu
4 or 5
movie.
Jedi actually die in course of Order 66.
Yeah.
And there's like so many that just survived.
Right. I don't think there are. So like we know like Yoda, Obi-Wan, obviously. Cal Kestis, Ahsoka. But do you really count Ahsoka? Because she wasn't exactly a Jedi. That one bloke that shows up in Obi-Wan is like, Obi-Wan, I know you're Obi-Wan. He's like, fuck off.
Kanan Jarrus.
Right.
Ahmad Best's character.
Kelleron Beck. I guess that one guy from Obi-Wan, he dies by the end of the second episode, I think. Like they find him hanging in the town square.
And then there's like 2 more Jedi in Fallen Order, I guess one of which becomes the Trilla, and what's her name? Cal's buddy flies around on the ship with him.
Oh, Marin? Well, she's not a Jedi.
Not Marin.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
What is her name?
Anyway, the point is, a lot of fucking Jedi survived Order 66. Cere. That's it.
She dies, doesn't she?
Yes.
Yeah, Vader,
yes.
She goes out pretty well. Like, Vader's the one that kills her, so. I guess there are kind of a lot of Jedi, because we know that Jocasta Nu survived. Still ended up dying, but survived the...
supposed to be, like, what, 10,000 Jedi?
Yeah, but when you consider that, like, even if there are fewer than 50 that survived, that's pretty much everyone that died.
Kind of miraculous, yeah.
Right. So,
anyway, big long sidetrack.
Nice little nerd road we just went down on. Not like that.
Yeah.
So sorry. What the fuck am I saying? I've had a really long, like this, it's only Wednesday. Do you ever have those kind of weeks where, like, you go to get clothes, you're going to put your clothes on for the day, and you're like, oh, right, all the laundry's dirty because I've been too busy to do the laundry. That was today.
Yeah.
And it's only Wednesday, so. Bradley says, hello there.
Hello there.
She did her duties as a citizen.
Ahsoka.
Oh, he's talking about Ahsoka and Cere. Yeah, he was. Yeah. Which, by the way, we are live. So if you want to weigh in the comments, which I'm going to ask you to do here in a second on this next segment, please do that, and we'll read them as we merrily roll along. Excuse me. So sorry. All right. I don't know what I'm going to call this when we put this video up. It's either going to be top 10 episodes from Disney plus Star Wars, or top 10 moments from Disney plus Star Wars, or top 10 episodes / movies from Disney plus Star Wars.
Episodes / moments?
Yes.
Yes.
And it will contain the number 10 because there are 10 of them, and Disney plus Star Wars because that was the premise. But this is since Ahsoka ended, we have a new show that's complete and in the library, right, for Disney plus Star Wars. And some of them have been great. Some of them have not been great.
Book of Boba Fett.
Right.
Obi-Wan.
And for a couple, and even the ones that weren't great still have like moments that are kind of cool and everything. So
like Boba showing up on the Rancor.
Right.
That's pretty badass.
And I remember when like the second or third episode of Ahsoka came out, there were a lot of people like, "Oh, this is the best Star Wars on Disney Plus." And I remember saying, I don't know, I love Andor. I'm going to watch all of Ahsoka first. And since now I've done that, maybe I'll do one of these every time we get a new show.
Just sort of update the ranking.
Right. So this has been my standard, at least for the top spot. Right.
Okay.
I was talking to John, my partner, about this, because he thinks it's really funny to watch TV with me when it's TV I really like, because as I've gotten older, I've gotten a lot more emotional about stuff, because I'm becoming weak, I guess. And there is an effect that it's like a phenomenon with me when I watch watch TV that I really like, when something happens that really moves me, or that I'm really into, where it'll be happening and I'll realize that I haven't breathed for, like, I haven't taken a breath for 2 minutes. I've just been holding my breath the whole time. And I'm usually crying too. And so that was like my standard. Like, what from Disney Plus Star Wars has gotten to that? Which I figured is the top 3. Okay. Right. And then the rest are
just things that are really cool.
Yeah, right. So look, there are a lot of great moments in Star Wars Disney Plus. And if yours doesn't appear, tough.
Sorry.
But you can tell us in the comments, and we'll, and if we agree, we'll like it or whatever. So top 10 episodes. I was gonna do, you know what? I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna do it off the fly. I'm not gonna even know what the names of the episodes are, but I just thought of it. What I'm gonna do. So all these are live action, right? I didn't do any of the animated ones, but I'm gonna put 2 honorable mentions on the list right now.
All right.
The first one is from the first season of Visions, and I can't remember what the episode is, because I didn't plan to have...
See, you just violated your own terms, because Visions is animated.
Yeah, that's why it's honorable mention, and not on the proper list, right? So there's an episode where there are a bunch of Jedi. They all get called to this spot, right? And no one knows why they're there. And earlier in the episode, they set up this thing where, like, oh, your lightsaber color reflects... the intent and the spirit of the user.
Ninth Jedi or something.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I think you're correct. And as they're trying to figure out why they've all been summoned here, all these Jedi, there comes a point when all of them pull out their lightsabers and all of them are red. Because you assume that they're Jedi, because they're not dressed like normal, like, you know, bad guy, like black robes and shit. And there are fucking great lightsaber fights in that one. Someone ends up with a purple lightsaber, which I'm like, all the fuck for. And then my second honorable mention goes to the Count Dooku Yaddle fight from Tales of the Jedi.
That's a good choice.
Which I thought was really great as well. So 2 honorable mentions.
I have another honorable mention to throw in. This is from season 2 of Visions. The one where the Irish girl goes into the cave and fights off the big
witch?
shadow monster. Yeah. And then... in the end, the ship comes down, and it's a Sith that comes out and collects her.
Yeah, you're mine now.
That's just colossal mindfuck.
Yeah. All right. So I did 10 of these.
Okay.
As is evidenced by the title. So in the number 10 spot is from Book of Boba Fett.
Okay.
This is the only one from Book of Boba Fett.
Starting off strong, I see.
Because Book of Boba Fett wasn't fantastic.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be. I think everyone thinks Boba Fett's kind of a badass, and I think everyone was really psyched to see him when he shows up in Mandalorian season 2.
Tamura Morrison is having a grand old time.
Yeah, but the episodes were too short. They didn't have a chance to fill out the story, as is a common theme. And
sometimes they just didn't have the budget.
Yeah,
like the motorcycle chase of that speeder. It looks like they're going like 10 miles an hour.
Yeah, and that's not the only. Obi-Wan had a similar issue with that too. It's what happens when you try to film your action scenes on a room that's probably about this size with LCD screens, right? So this is from chapter 6, From the Desert Comes a Stranger. And if you're following this show all the way through, Boba Fett takes over Jabba's, well, it's not Jabba's, fucking Bib Fortuna.
Who has taken over for Jabba.
Yeah, shot that motherfucker right in the chest and is like, I'm king now, right? And it's a mafia story throughout, all the way through. For some reason, in the middle of this show that no one can figure out, we depart from the Book of Boba Fett, and we have like 2 episodes where he doesn't even appear in the show, right?
We have Mandalorian season 2.5.
Right, and this is one of the ones, right? So From the Desert Comes a Stranger got on my list for 2 reasons. First of all was, and probably the most important, was the introduction and the reveal of live-action Cad Bane, which Clone Wars fans were fucking crazy about.
Immediately shat their pants.
It was a cool introduction, too.
Yeah.
Fucking comes in from the fucking desert dunes, and he's just a figure on the fucking horizon, and they do a proper like stare down and gunfight and shit. Timothy Olyphant gets the shit shot out of him. His assistant immediately dies because he's an idiot. And this also happens to be the same episode where we got so far the best CGI Luke Skywalker we've gotten, which is weird because before the Book of Boba Fett came out, we, as everyone in the world knows, called Luke and Mandalorian season sometime in there, right? We knew he was showing up at some time.
Yeah.
I don't think either of us guessed he was going to show up in Book of Boba Fett, because why would he?
Yeah.
Like, that just doesn't make sense.
Luke has bigger fish to fry.
Yeah. And you spend a considerable amount of time with him, and it's fucking awesome. It doesn't belong in the show. It could have been Mandalorian season 3. But I still love it nonetheless. He's got these great scenes with Grogu where he does a little lightsaber practice, and he fucking Grogu can't walk fast enough.
Grogu's fucking flipping around.
Yeah, right. He's just like scooping him up with the Force and tossing him forward a little bit and shit. And there's a great conversation between Ahsoka and Luke where it's fan service, and that's fine. Fan service isn't always. I don't think even a lot of the times is even terrible, as long as like your entire plot doesn't hang on it.
Yeah.
There's a great conversation between Ahsoka where, well, first of all, Din Djarin finds Ahsoka, and he's like, well, how the fuck do you know Luke Skywalker? And she's like, I'm a friend of the family. And everyone's like, oh, yes, give me more of that. And then there's...
See, that's good fan service. That's well done.
Yeah, and then later on, she has a conversation with Luke about Grogu's future, and she tells him that he's a lot like his father. And it's like, oh...
She would be the one to know.
Yeah, she would. So, spot number 10, that almost was honorable mention, by the way, Book of Boba Fett. Get your shit together if you get a season 2. Number 9.
Okay.
This is part 5 from Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I picked this one. This is the penultimate to the season finale. And the reason I put it on there is because Vader fucking pulls a ship out of the sky and then crashes it. And then has this kind of amazing duel with Reva where at no point did he even fear for his life. In fact, he didn't even pull his lightsaber out for a while. He's like, I'm just going to use the Force because you're fucking wimpy. The reason, so those were like pretty cool things I enjoyed in that episode. And I got to admit that the thing that tonally that I really loved about this episode is the last few seconds where Reva discovers Obi-Wan's holocommunicator and is able to like extract a garbled message about a kid on Tatooine. And there's this great musical moment, and there's a shot of like wee baby Luke Skywalker sleeping in his bed, and it's shot from like overhead, and it's like this like dread music, and then the episode ends. I'm like, all right, if the whole show could have been like this, that would have been fucking great.
Reva in general was probably the high point of Obi-Wan.
I liked her
looking
a lot.
back at it as a show as a whole. Like, I forget the actress's name, but she did a phenomenal job with that character.
I liked her as well. I know that there was some drama with her on social media, but I just
because how dare a black woman be in Star Wars, right?
I'm kind of at the point now where like when I see, I don't even assume those like a lot of comments on social media are real, just because I like I like sciencey stuff. I follow a lot of science stuff on social media, and I'll go into the comments, and there are a ton of people who still think the Earth is flat. And I don't think that they actually think that. I think they're just bots. Because there's no way that many people believe the Earth is flat just because it's fucking stupid.
Either they're bots or they're in on the joke.
Right. And if there are that many people that actually believe it, just shoot me. Shoot me in the fucking head. Because I just don't want to deal with it. So, number 8.
Okay.
Mandalorian, Season 1, Episode 1.
Ooh, yeah.
And the reason other than a great introduction to a great character.
I can bring you in hot, or I can bring you in
cold.
Warm,
yeah. The thing that really got it on the list here is because at the end, there's a giant reveal.
And everybody loses their shit.
There's a baby of the same species as Yoda. And everyone was like, how is that even possible?
That's one of those reveals that means way more to the audience than it does to the character.
Right.
Because like Din Djarin sees this thing, he's like, oh, okay,
it's a fucking alien
supposed to bring in.
Yeah.
The audience sees it and think, holy fucking shit!
Yeah, right. Okay, so number 7 belongs to Obi-Wan Kenobi. This is part 6, sorry. None of the Obi-Wan's episodes had names, I don't think. I think they were just part 1 through 7.
Which makes sense if you consider that this was really supposed to be a movie.
Right. So this is Obi-Wan and Vader's second duel, is the reason it's on here. The duel was cool, like the idea was cool. The visuals were crunchy and weird because it was all filmed on the volume and everything. They did it in the middle of COVID, and it was kind of a mess, and it wasn't really their fault. But like the duel has a couple of really cool moments. One of them, is fucking Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan just doing the Gandalf thing out of nowhere and like taking all the rocks off me, like, motherfucker, eat some rocks.
Like,
and
thematically, that duel is phenomenal.
Yeah, the thing that really gets me though is after he's damaged Vader's helmet, and he says, I'm sorry for all of it," and Vader says, "You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, I did." And there's this look from Hayden Christensen in the helmet, and it's like, bravo, sir, that's fucking great.
Hayden Christensen might still be a little bit wooden when he's reading lines, but
it works in that context. Yeah.
Plus, he can act.
Right.
Maybe not so great with his voice in comparison to some other great actors, but like,
I don't love him as I've said this before. I don't love him as an actor. I love him as Anakin Skywalker, though. It's a really weird thing.
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine anyone else as Anakin Skywalker, but I can't watch him in literally any other movie because it's like you're not a great actor, and that's fine. It's, you know, there are iconic actors that aren't amazing actors. Spot number 6.
Okay.
Mandalorian season 2, episode 5, The Jedi.
Oh, yes.
Now, this is the live-action introduction of Ahsoka, which everyone was fucking crazy about. We learned Grogu's proper name, because up until then, we've been calling him Baby Yoda. And there's a huge reveal at the end that
Ahsoka beats the shit out of Morgan Elsbeth and says, "What the fuck's up with Thrawn?"
Yeah. Now, John and I were watching this today, just because I was doing my notes and had some of this on. And they told us in that episode that Morgan Elsbeth was a fucking Night Sister. We just weren't paying attention.
Really?
Din Djarin's like, he asks Ahsoka, like, what the fuck is up with Morgan Elsbeth? She's got a fucking Beskar spear. That's fucking cool.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, she's got a chip on her shoulder. All of her people were massacred in the Clone War.
Oh.
Like, it was there
the
whole time.
There's a very limited number of populations she could have sprung from.
Right. No. It was pretty cool. And, like, John and I looked at each other, we're like, what? So.
They were planning that shit.
Yeah. So, spot number 5. Ahsoka, Part 5, Shadow Warrior. And look, there are going to be fans that are really upset that this isn't number 1. And I totally get it. Live action Anakin Skywalker. De-aging, a little weird, but convincing. It worked. It didn't bother me at all. It was the kind of fan service that, like, the plot didn't lean on it. Like, it didn't depend on it for it to work. It's just that there are other moments that I thought were that were even better than this.
And like, if you grew up on the Clone Wars, like if you were 5 years old when that cartoon started and you grew up with it, maybe this is your favorite moment. That's fine.
Yeah. Also, like, the Anakin, like, little Ahsoka aside, I really love little baby Jason Syndulla, and I'm pretty sure he's either going to get trained by
has to be Ahsoka, right? Ezra,
or like Luke or something. So
Ezra, yeah.
I love that kid. He's so adorable, and I think mostly I'm really glad he doesn't look like how he looks at the end of Rebels, because he's like just a little tiny, like, horror shit goblin.
Yeah.
Number 4. Ahsoka Part 8, The Jedi, the Witch, and the Warlord. Which, first of all,
excellent
banger of a title. For me, the standout moments for this were the Morgan Elsbeth and Ahsoka rematch. That duel was cool. And, Ahsoka was like, "You didn't beat me before, bitch. You're not going to beat me now."
It's like poetry. It rhymes.
She had the Mother Talzin sword. She had the fucking black eyes and the fucking mascara everywhere, whatever the fuck that was. Thrawn's mic drop is the reason that this almost made it to my top 3.
Yeah.
Because I had that effect where, like, I realized I wasn't breathing. But
He's just like, "Well done. You almost caught me. Fuck off.
Yeah.
I win."
They make it seem like Ahsoka's going to stop him. And there's something about how Lars Mikkelsen delivers this line that's crazy to me, where he doesn't say it in like an epic, dramatic way. He just says it as a matter of fact. He says, "Long live the Empire." Gone. It's just so fucking badass. Also, Balin's skull, even though he has a scene where he doesn't say anything.
He doesn't say a single word in that episode, and he's
give that man an
incredibly
Oscar.
Fucking epic.
Anakin Force Ghost at the end, and the bad guys lose. That's good shit for me. Yeah, right. The good guys lose is what I meant to say.
Number 3.
So top 3,
Mm-hmm.
right? Number 3 is going to go to Andor, episode 10, One Way Out.
Oh, yeah.
There are 2 moments in this that were just fantastic. One of them is Kino Loy's speech to the prisoners, where he's pretty much like, guys, let's kill everybody.
Yeah.
And it ends with the can't swim thing, which I think broke everyone's heart.
Yeah.
The second thing, and I think the thing that got me the most, where I was just like, I can't believe I was moved this much just by a man speaking, was Luthen's monologue.
Oh, God, yes.
And he says, I wrote down the...
I forgot that was the same episode.
Yep, just the last part of it. He says, I'm condemned to use the tools of my enemy to defeat them. I burn my decency for someone else's future. I burn my life to make a sunrise that I'll never see. And the ego that started this fight will never have a mirror or an audience or the light of gratitude. So what do I sacrifice? Everything. And it's just like, goddamn, dude.
God damn.
Yeah.
There's so many good actors in Andor.
Yeah, and it was just well written. Everything was so, and it looked good. Like it didn't, anyway. Spot number 2.
Okay.
Did you have something?
No.
Okay. Spot number 2. Andor, episode 12, Rick's Road.
Oh, yeah.
And this one, it was close, but in my mind, it clearly is ahead of the previous one.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's so many great things to pick from this. The marching band with their like
that
fucked
whole
up
segment,
flutes and things.
Yeah, right, like all the crazy horns. That whole segment just ratchets tension throughout the whole thing, where the band starts off as like 3 fucking people, and as they march through, they just pick people up, and it gets louder and louder and louder. And what they're playing is like that. It's just not the music you would expect. It's just like this.
It's like New Orleans style funeral,
right? Yeah,
where it's kind of jaunty.
Yeah, right. And
Mama Andor's speech.
That's the whole thing.
Fuck the Empire.
Right. She says the Empire is a disease that thrives in darkness. It is never more alive than when we sleep. It's easy for the dead to tell you to fight, and maybe it's true. Maybe fighting is useless. Perhaps it's too late, but I'll tell you this. If I could do it again, I'd wake up early and fight these bastards from the start. Fight the Empire. And I think everyone who's watching this, like all the political shit that I think planet Earth has gone through up to that point, and this like strong anti-fascist message. And remember that there were serious discussions at Disney for her to say fuck the... In fact, rumored that they did a take of her saying fuck the Empire. Holy... They didn't even need it for it to be great.
Yeah.
So you know what my number 1's going to be.
Of course.
Right. So this is season 2 of The Mandalorian, episode 8, The Rescue, which I think is probably the Star Wars moment in the last 20 years that sent shockwaves through everything. Like even Star Wars fans woke up, or people who weren't Star Wars fans woke up.
Let's just revisit this for the 1000th time.
Yeah.
So the good guys are locked on the Star Destroyer's
They're
bridge.
fucked.
The Dark Troopers are pounding down the door. They're completely fucked. And then through the window, you see a single X-wing.
Yeah.
Fly on
that fucking alarm goes off, and they're like, oh, there's a ship, and someone's like, oh, it's an X-wing, and fucking Cara Dune is like, oh great, one X-wing, we're still fucked.
And then they just watch through security cameras as the cockpit opens and a hooded figure hops out, pulls out a green lightsaber, and just starts chopping his way through the
you don't even see the lightsaber first. He broods through the hall with his fucking robe billowing and shit. You don't see his face. And the first, like the footage that you see of him fighting is from the black and white security cameras first. And I know because I've seen this like a million times. So you can't tell who it is unless you know. Yeah, which I think that there was a group, because I've seen reactions of this episode, and even people who are like really big Star Wars fans, like, who is that? Oh my gosh, is that Ezra, or is that Cal Kestis or whatever? And I think that there was like this core group of people. The second you see the X-wing, you're like, that's Luke motherfucking Skywalker. And they confirm it in the cinematography by showing you his lightsaber first in frame, with hilt and all.
Yep.
And you're like, okay, that's definitely Luke.
Yeah.
And then he gets his own fucking Vader style hallway scene where there's fucking hallway full of guys that we know are very tough to beat. One of these things almost killed Din Djarin, right? Luke Skywalker just cuts through fucking all of them.
Yeah.
Just doesn't break a sweat. Was the CGI weird? Yeah. It looked real fucking weird.
Like, they did a whole fucking special explaining why the CGI was weird.
Yeah. And I get it. Like, the technology, just imagine, maybe I doubt they'll go back and do it again, but even if they used the upgraded technology they used for Book of Boba Fett, that would have been, like, that would have been a lot better. But I think that they did it really well where everyone was so stunned by what just happened that, like, when he pulls his hood back, I was like,
yeah, okay, it's Luke.
But like I've got this thing like jingling keys at me. I'm like, oh God, he just did that thing, right? And so like it didn't really matter that much.
And I mean, like, Star Wars and ILM have always been pushing the boundaries in special effects since the very beginning.
Yeah.
Like, we would not have modern CGI without the prequels. So like, of course. And, like, you go back and look at the prequels, and some of that is janky, and some of the action is weird because it's two guys on a blue set swinging toy lightsabers around. But this is the modern version of that. Like, you have to walk before you can run.
Yeah. Which, by the way, and I'll this is the hill that I'm currently prepared to die on. We're not done with Luke Skywalker, so everyone prepare themselves because that shit's coming back. Bradley says, I'm hyped for Acolyte. Yeah. And is that coming out at the end of this year, or is it early next year?
I think it's next year, but I haven't looked up recently.
Boba Fett was my least favorite, was focused on Mando's a lot, and those said episodes stole the show. I agree, and that's too bad because
like, there was a ton of potential for that.
Don't know if this counts as an honorable mention, but episode shattered last season of Clone Wars. Yes, actually, I'm surprised I didn't think of that, and if I were to pick one moment from that, it would be... there are a lot of great moments, but the one that I remember first is when Anakin does what Luke does in The Last Jedi. Shot for shot. Fucking walks out in front of an entire army by himself. And it's like everyone stops shooting and looks at him, and he just... It was very intentional.
Yeah.
Like you know, the poetry rhymes thing. I just thought that was really neat. Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 2, Minds of Mandalore. So... Mando Season 3 didn't make it on my list because I didn't love it. There wasn't anything in it that I...
It was fine.
John and I talked about this today. I was like, what was your favorite part of Season 3 Mandalorian? He's like, Babu Frick. and Lizzo. And Christopher Lloyd.
Lizzo, yeah. Lizzo was phenomenal.
And Jack Black.
Yeah.
But those,
Lizzo and Jack Black.
Like, those were a lot of fun. But I didn't love it. It just, you know... And it's fine. I don't have to love everything to appreciate it. Definitely grew number one spot, blew my mind. I think most people were pretty insane about that. So there, top 10 moments. We'll let you know how it updates when we see Acolyte or Skeleton
or whatever's
Crew.
next.
Yeah. So
are we talking Loki or Gen V?
Yeah, and so we're spoiling both of these, by the way. And before whichever one we start with, we'll remind you on the next one too that we're spoiling it. And they're like Gen V is. Let's start with Gen V.
Okay.
Might as well. It's had four episodes so far. Yep. We weren't able to talk about it a bunch because Ahsoka was happening and like some real crazy shit was happening with Ahsoka. And
so just to take an broad view of this so far, I love that they're doing both the highly detailed grossness and like good look at the psychoses of superheroes that The Boys does, and also all the intensely interpersonal romantic drama that any good college show has.
Yeah, it's like, you know how fucked up all these adults are with powers? Imagine if they were all teenagers.
They're all fucking.
Yeah,
they're all fucking.
Right. It's like freshman year of college. Yeah. You know, it's funny how like I don't know how they did it or whose idea it was. But The Boys has this style about it that you know what you're watching almost immediately, and it's gross and it's really weird.
It's the buckets of fake blood they throw everywhere.
But it's so fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
And in addition to being like clearly comedy, they hit some really uncomfortable themes, and the drama is really good.
Yeah.
And I think I've said this before, but one of the things I really appreciate about The Boys and about Gen V is that, like, it's easy to go after the obviously crazy political stuff in the world, like the right wing, which is like obviously crazy, and I think most reasonable people can agree at this point. It's like that's fucking crazy. they also take aim at the crazy shit otherwise. Like, for example,
the newest episode takes aim at those fucking true crime documentaries.
Right, yeah. But also some shit on the left that, like, and I've said this before, and I've gotten flack from people about this, but I'm gay. Mm-hmm. And I really hate Pride now because of, like, every corporation in the world puts a pride flag. It's why Jedi Enclave didn't put a pride flag on our profile picture when it was Pride Month, because every corporation, they don't give a fuck about gay people.
They've decided that it is economically advantageous to pretend to like gay people for that month.
Yeah.
And then once we hit July, it all goes away. We don't care about it anymore.
And all the executives in charge of all these companies, or the real rich people who own them, donate to homophobic, organizations and all this other shit. And Gen V kind of goes after that a little bit. And I'm like, good, because that's it rings a little hollow when you consider that it's on Amazon Prime, and Amazon's one of those companies where it's like, good for you for being able to make fun of yourself, I guess. But, like, we all really were watching this and agreeing with it because we hope you burn to the ground.
Seriously, Jeff Bezos is a piece of shit.
Yeah. And, like, it's that, like, a lot, like, some of the left is just like this disgusting, I need everyone to make sure, like, I need to make sure everyone realizes that I'm not a racist or that I'm gay friendly. And it's about the image that you are putting on and not about the issue, which really just gets me. It grinds my gears. And you see it on social media from people I know who, like, they're the most privileged people in the world. And they, they change their profile pictures when it's, when everyone else does. And it's like, but do you vote? No, you don't vote. Then shut the fuck up. Like, it just, all of it just rings hollow. And I appreciate that Gen V and the boys kind of go after people like that too, because it's not just the right that, I mean, disproportionately insane, but it happens elsewhere as well.
So I guess we should talk about the plot a little bit, huh?
Yeah. So there's a college for supes. Yep. And it's
Godolkin University.
Right. Which
cleverly abbreviated to God U.
Yeah. Just fuck. The other thing it kind of takes aim at is like college sports. Yeah. Which is terrible, by the way. Mm-hmm. If you like watching college sports, that's fine.
Fuck the NCAA.
Yeah.
That's all we really need to say.
Like, they exploit children or teenagers who don't have a name enough to make their own money. They provide a service and bring in billions of dollars of revenue, and they never see a penny of it.
There are so many states in the U.S. where the highest paid public employee is the state university's football coach.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
And not a cent goes to any of the athletes.
Well, that's changing now that the name, image, and likeness lawsuits have gone through. But like, universities still don't pay their athletes directly.
And it's kind of the same thing with Godolkin University, where they do their college ranking system and shit, and
like the number one gets to graduate into the 7 or whatever.
Right. But yeah, it's like a feeder program for the 7, and they have ridiculous majors. Like, there's a criminology major, and there's like a soup management thing, and so it's one of those things. Do you remember when Clancy Brown showed up in Ahsoka, and it was like, if I didn't know who that was from Rebels, I would assume he was a bad guy. Yeah. It's because he's a bad guy in everything else, including Gen V. So he plays like the dean of either the criminology department or like the whole school.
Criminology.
Yeah.
Because the other woman is the dean of the whole school.
Yeah. And he's shady. Right? He's like shady as fuck. And there's
Marie Moreau, who's an orphan who discovers her powers in the most disgusting way possible.
And tragic way, honestly.
Definitely.
Yeah.
She's an orphan because she killed her parents with her powers. And she goes on to Godolkin University and wants to be a crime fighter, except her power is making blood do things. Yeah. And that does not play well with the media, which means it doesn't play well with the Vought, which means she has no prayer of ever being a superhero.
Yeah. Did that remind you of Avatar: The Last Airbender a little bit? The whole blood bending thing?
A little bit, but
because she uses it to a similar effect in like the 4th
Yeah.
episode, and it's fucking gross.
So the whole conceit of this is that the school's golden boy, who is actually named Golden Boy,
he's like the one guy from Fantastic Four, the guy that sets himself on fire.
Human Torch.
Yeah. He's that guy.
Yeah,
more or less.
So he ends up learning a very disturbing truth and killing the beloved professor, and then killing himself. And the rest of the show to this point has been been about the characters all sort of unraveling the layers
mystery,
and finding out what's going on.
I like the gender fluid representation in one of the characters.
God, I love the entire cast.
Yeah,
they're also
they are great. There's one of the characters has the overbearing father who wants to live vicariously through his kid, and it's disgusting. It's like every sports dad ever, pretty much. It's like when my stepdad used to scream at me at baseball games.
I want to go home and listen to John Williams.
Yeah, I want to play video games. I want to play the saxophone. And there's a good eating disorder thing going on with one of the characters. Pretty much the mystery is that Golden Boy's brother is locked away in this secret underground prison, like below the school, I guess.
Because that's where you put your secret underground prisons, is directly below the university.
Right. Yeah. So they end up breaking him out. And
specifically, Marie's roommate, the girl who can get very small by forcing herself to vomit.
Yeah. Which we also learned she can get very large by eating a lot of
eating
carbs.
A lot. And, she and Golden Boy's brother have a little thing, and they're probably gonna fuck.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, this is the boys. Of course they're gonna fuck.
And there's a lot of classic, like there's a crawling through the head that like she gets small and crawls through someone's brain, and you see it very graphically. Someone's penis gets swelled up and blown up.
Marie goes to the campus psychic and says, "Hey, can you find my roommate?" And like he's like, "Yes, come closer." And she like blacks out, wakes up in his dorm room, and he's like about to date rape her essentially. And she makes his penis blow up because she has blood powers.
Yeah. I like how his name is a play on roofie, which I thought was pretty. Yeah. There's a hilarious scene of the tiny girl hanging onto a penis.
Yeah.
Like a normal sized penis, but she's very small. That was really funny. They love putting penises in. Yeah. Yeah. They're not, which I appreciate. Like, if you're going to show tits and everything else, I mean, show fucking penis.
We have to talk about how the 4th episode ends, because
it's kind of like WandaVision. Do you remember that episode of WandaVision where like there was a weird cut and you're like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
It was kind of like that.
So all the good guys have come to stop Sam from killing one of the doctors who was experimenting on him. And Marie's yelling, "We can help you. We can," and then she blacks out and she wakes up in bed.
It's kind of like with the roofie guy earlier, right? Yeah.
And then like Jordan is snuggling up with her, and this actress does a phenomenal job. Like she wakes up, she feels Jordan's. Oh, yeah, that happened.
Looks over and then just kind of accepts it. Like, okay, I guess this isn't the weirdest thing that's happened to me today. Also, but it also could be the other character that can control people's minds by touch. Like if she can touch you, she can get you to believe whatever.
There's a lot they need to explain next episode.
So far it's one of those things where like when season 3 of The Boys came out, or is season 3 out yet?
Yes.
Okay, because this takes place between 3 and 4 of The Boys, by the way. Where like season 3 came out, and then John and I sat down for dinner, and we usually watch.
We can't watch this while eating.
We did the same thing with Gen.
Because you forgot what you were watching.
Yeah, and like in the first few minutes, there's like some really gross, terrible thing that happens to someone, and it's like, oh, right.
It's uncomfortable to watch. Yeah. It hurts sometimes, but it's really good.
Yeah, it's very well done, and it's never just for shock value. It's usually it serves a story, and I really like it. So let's talk about Loki a little bit.
Okay. So when we left our heroes at the end of Loki,
spoilers
season 1,
by the way.
Yes,
a Loki season 2.
Loki and Sylvie had essentially fucked everything. They
not literally, figuratively.
They fucked each other, but they also fucked.
Did they fuck each other?
I think so. I think they kissed at the very least.
What a narcissistic thing, by the way.
Yes. The only one that Loki can love is alternate timeline himself.
It's like, it'd be really great is if I just had a female version of myself I could fuck. Oh, There's Sylvie.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they had killed He Who Remains, which splintered the one true timeline into infinite timelines, and everything's going wrong at the TVA.
Yeah. If you don't know what any of this means, go watch it. Go watch season 1 because it's
Loki
really,
season 1 was probably the best Marvel show on Disney Plus.
I think I would posit that there are only really 2 excellent Marvel Disney Plus shows, and it's Loki and WandaVision.
Okay.
And they've got a couple that are okay, and then they've got a couple it's like, eh.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is really like the good one.
So Loki is having troubles where he's like being ripped through time, like literally ripped.
Yeah.
It's very painful.
By the way, Owen Wilson is such a treasure in this show. And I don't even like Owen Wilson
He's
very
just
much.
so good.
Yeah.
Like, this is the role Owen Wilson was born to play.
You ever notice he just always whispers?
Yeah.
He never talks very much louder than this.
Yeah.
It's just like, doesn't matter what the circumstances or whatever.
Also, new standout character, Ouroboros.
Yeah.
I love this guy.
Yeah, I'm glad he's getting, because he like that was short round from the Goonies, and he was in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and then took a huge hiatus from acting, more or less because Hollywood is really terrible to actors who aren't white, pretty much, and they make light of this. He was in a Disney Plus show called American Born Chinese, where he played this really famous racial stereotype in this old 90s sitcom. And like they kind of explore that a little bit, and you can tell that like the actor was it kind of mirrored a little bit of what kind of happened to him, you know. And then he was in Everything Everywhere All at Once and won an Oscar for it, I think, so for supporting actor maybe, or finally got a proper accolade for his work.
Yeah.
And I'm just really glad he's still in shit, because he's a lot of fun in this. Yeah.
He's this he's cute basically for the TVA, except nobody likes him.
Yeah, he just fixes weird shit.
Yeah.
They also broke their own time travel rules. Do you notice that? So like in Endgame, Banner goes on, he's like,
because at first he doesn't know what they're doing,
right.
And then Loki goes back and talks to him
like,
in the past. Is like, oh yes, I know.
And he remembers it in real
Yeah.
time. Yeah. I'm not sure it matters because the TVA, I think, is like separate from time.
Yeah,
anyway.
the TVA exists outside of time
Yeah.
and has their own timey-wimey bullshit.
Yeah, so I'm sure they can think of some weird, thing.
So like they need to go to the time loom where they're making new time and do some science shit with Loki to make him not get ripped through time all the time.
Which they succeed.
Yeah.
They almost don't. There's a mystery box at the end.
Yes.
Because before he's pulled out, there's this phone ringing. Do you notice that? He hears the phone ringing.
I don't know if I did.
He never answers it. Like he follows the ringing and he sees the phone and he looks like he's about to answer it.
Cliffhanger.
And then that's when Sylvie opens the elevator.
Yeah.
So who the fuck is it? It's probably He Who Remains. Like, I'm still alive, bitch.
Yeah. Well, Kang the
Or
Conqueror
maybe it's
at this point.
maybe it's fucking Richard Grant's character from
Oh
season 1.
God, I hope
Yeah.
so.
Because we never exactly see him die.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to see Richard E. Grant in Loki again, because he's my favorite part of the first season, I think.
We also get a post-credits scene, which you missed the first time.
Yeah, I had to go back and watch it.
Of Sylvie in this McDonald's in 1980s.
1950s, I think.
1950s?
1950s or 60s. It was like early McDonald's.
Okay.
Yeah.
In Oklahoma, I think.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, how does this work? Like, just give me some food.
I think she just wants to relive all the shit that she missed out on as a kid.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I guess I'm just going to stuff my face full of McDonald's, because I guess they would have had that in Asgard or whatever.
So we know that we're going to be seeing more of the variant Kang the Conquerors, which feels kind of
the whole
weird.
Jonathan Majors thing is weird, because
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that Disney is just kind of like waiting to see where the chips fall, because they're like, if it's not that bad and people forget, it doesn't affect us at all, and we can just go forward with it. But if it goes badly and it looks bad for us.
Disney lucked the fuck out that this is the one character that you can recast and no one will question it.
Yeah,
because of the way the character works.
Yeah, he's Rick Sanchez.
Yeah.
From Rick and Morty.
He has infinite reflections across infinite timelines.
He can look like anybody.
Yeah. They've set up that very thing with Loki and Sylvie.
Right. Or the other Loki
and all
variants,
the variant Lokis,
fucking alligator.
Yeah.
There could be an alligator Kang out there somewhere, or like I don't know.
There probably is an alligator Kang out there somewhere.
Honey Badger Kang. That would be pretty cool.
Sure, that'd be terrifying.
Well, anyway,
Anyway.
We got to go to Battlefront at 7. Chris says, "May the Force be with you." Jedi Enclave, thank you for your awesome content. Thank you, man.
Oh, thanks.
Bradley says the dick scene.
Which Gen V, yes.
Which one? Because there are 2 gross ones. Well, one gross one and one just like, what is happening
The
here?
most recent one is very painful.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like, oh, God. So, yeah.
Fucking swelled up like a baguette.
I don't want to think about it ever again. It's like in season 3 where the guy gets a little and goes into the guy's dick hole and then sneezes and explodes. Yeah, it's fucking that show goes there, and it's almost always hilarious. So yeah, we're gonna go play some Battlefront here. Join us. Make sure you like, subscribe, do all the things that would please us more or less, and